There you go.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's City Council workshop. This is our more casual meeting that we have once a month where we can talk in depth about getting reports from staff and management, as well as getting some executive session items out of the way and discussing some upcoming agenda items. We would ask you to please silence your cell phones. And we will start off with our branding update with Meredith Denary. And this is something that has been in the works for months, and she is keeping us abreast of everything that is happening with our new branding. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, here we go. So, as you know, as you are well aware, the city has been undergoing a branding, I don't know whether to call it an overhaul or an update, but we have never had a logo. We have had a city seal since 1976. It was created then, and it has been in place. It's been used in many different ways since then. And right now, it's time, especially with all that we have going on and the revitalization and all of the exciting things that we have going on downtown and in the city, to have something that represents us that's new and fresh. I do want to put emphasis on before I start this that the seal is not going anywhere. It's going to be used as city seals typically are used. It's for formalities, so it'll be used on things like letterheads from the mayor, letterheads from the city manager, and in different uses like that. This logo is something that will be used across the board for other things like city signage, our city email signatures, stationery, and things like that. I'm going to first walk you through how we got to where we are today with this update, and we'll also show you some different elements of the logo of where we are now that can be broken out and used on their own. I'm going to show about 10 slides, and then Zimmerman's going to take over with a handful, and then we'll end the presentation. So just as a recap, this started really back in April. We had 120 community members, business owners, area stakeholders that took part in sessions with Zimmerman at the HTC Aspire Hub. They were about 4 hours long, and we went through everything about what we think of the city of Myrtle Beach, words that we think of with the city, what we want to be, where we're going. They talked about archetypes with different famous people. I mean, unless you were there, it's hard to describe what all we talked about because it was loaded, and I know some of you guys were there as well. And one thing that Andy has said throughout this process is it was amazing how many people showed up, which was just showing how many people truly care not only about Myrtle Beach, but of this project and where we're going with it. It was really amazing that we had 120 people show up throughout the week at the HTC Aspire Hub. And through all of their feedback, plus research provided that was already done by the Myrtle Beach Downtown Alliance and the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, Zimmerman was able to take all of that into account to come up with where we are today. So through those momentum sessions, here on the left, I have some of the most common words that were associated with Myrtle Beach when talking about the city. You have things like community, heart, of course, service, values, happy, welcoming, friends, quality of life, things like that. From that, they were then able to come up with foundational themes to serve as a foundation going forward. So you have community, innovation, experience-driven growth, revitalization and resilience, sustainability and opportunity, storytelling, and engagement. And you'll remember from my last presentation with Andy, that was where we presented you all the main foundation of serving today, shaping tomorrow, which kind of catapulted us to where we are today. And out of that came our 5, what I'll call strong words for the purpose of this conversation: welcoming, integrity, innovative, culture, and safe. And we already talked about the additional research that was provided to them. So then they came back. It was a couple of weeks. I would say this was sometime in June with the first round of logos. We had 8 different logos that they came back with. All of them were very different. And this was the first one that really stuck out to us. And this is the first version of what I'm going to show you today, and you'll see how it changed along the way. So you'll see MB, you see the seagull, and City of Myrtle Beach. Of course, none of the colors were finalized. This was just as an example. And so we took that logo, we gave them feedback, we talked about art, we talked about things that were important to us, and gave them more feedback. And then this was the second round that they came up with. You can see where art is reflected in the way that the bird and the wave kind of reflect a paintbrush or a paint stroke, so to speak. And that would be the nod to downtown and our emphasis on art in the community, in addition to the beach way of life that we live. But that still wasn't quite right. We were still missing something. So we went back to the drawing board again. And this is when my team of 5 who helped us pick the Zimmerman Agency out of Florida came into play to help give additional feedback and direction. And that would be Kevin Waits, Ryan Caputo, Brian Schmidt, and Jason Green. And then I would be the 5th one. And so something was still missing here. We were like, okay, what matters to Myrtle Beach? What is the thing that everyone thinks of? And of course, the beach. That's what we all love. And when you talk about branding the municipal government, the city of Myrtle Beach, the beach is our bread and butter, in addition to everything, a lot of things, but we do a lot on the beach. We keep it clean. It's what brings our visitors here. You have the ocean, and it relates to everything. So we pulled up some pictures, and all these pictures have something in common. You have the sun, you have the water, the sunset, it's happiness, and it reflects the words that we spoke about earlier that really came out of those branding sessions. And then again, you have the seal. And then I'm going to let Adam take over in a second, and you'll see some of the elements that they came up with from that design. And then you have this logo, some elements, and he's going to go deeper into that process. And I do, while we're waiting on them to join us, want to emphasize this is just an update. We have had the team of 5 that have been throughout this process, giving direction and feedback. We've come a long way since we started, and yesterday we had what I'll say is a tester group of about 14 city staff members who received this presentation from the Zimmerman group who's joining us. Andy's a little under the weather, so he's not going to be doing a bunch of talking today. And they provided some feedback as well before we presented to you all today. I just want to emphasize that this has been a months-long process with lots of back and forth, lots of changes. Nothing is final that you're going to see today. Colors are up in the air. If you have any feedback, please feel free to call me or swing by my office and we can talk about it. Any suggestions, anything at all. And I'll let Adam take it away.
All right, thank you. I will share my screen. Thank you. It's nice to meet you all and be here. Yeah. All right, and normally Andy does this up front, but since he's under the weather, I will be taking care of it. So a lot of you participated in our momentum sessions, which led to our momentum strategy, which informed all of this. And that is basically the process to get everyone's opinion, right? To get everyone's input to ensure that we're all moving in lockstep forward. So out of that, the brand personality that came out of Myrtle Beach, we came up with, there's 4 key brand personality traits. There's the heart, there's proud, optimistic, and trusted. And also something that comes out of the momentum strategy or momentum sessions is the brand promise. And that is serving today, shaping tomorrow, united in purpose, progress, and partnership, achieving more for Myrtle Beach and her citizens. So that's just a very high-level brand promise of what we're going to deliver upon. And then that brings us to our first step in that brand identity exploration that we're doing for you all. And the first thing we look at is the current logo, right? And we took some inspiration, like Meredith mentioned, we went through many rounds and we took inspiration from elements of your current logo and flag in order to make it more of an evolution of a logo. And, we're going to present it a little bit differently than we normally do today. We are going to take you through the different logo elements that make up the logo, and then we'll show it to you all together. So you will have all the backstory for each element. And like I said, we took inspiration from your prior logo with the flying gull. We really just simplified it. We made it more modern, more fluid. It provides kind of an organic, artistic, whimsical element into the logo, which is important because you guys are such a fun place, but you are, the city of, so your municipality. So we can't really go into visit Myrtle Beach territory, but we still want to portray that we're friendly and welcoming. And of course, the goal gives a nod to the beach, nature, that feeling of being free. And then outside of where this is used, if this is used in the logo, we could possibly use it outside of the logo for a few purposes as well. Things like location markers on maps or signage. These little flying goals could be PowerPoint bullets or integrated into a PowerPoint design. And then, of course, this is also a great design element for murals and special events. A second element in our proposed logo is the crescent, waves, and sun. And again, we took inspiration from your prior designs. We really just simplified this interpretation of the classic beach combo of sun and surf. And it gives a kind of artistic mosaic feel as well. We know your Arts and Innovation District is a huge part of your city, so we definitely wanted to give a nod to that. The colors, give a nod to the cerulean blue and aqua waters and the beautiful sunny weather you have. The crescent waves, you'll notice that they mimic the crescent shape of the moon on the South Carolina flag, which is kind of a nice tie-in there. And then if we wanted to use this element outside of the logo, we think this has a lot of flexibility for, again, design for murals and special events, PowerPoint design. But really, this is an element that we could use if we did a custom QR code. This could be a center kind of visual element to that. And we could even elevate it to the point of being an avatar on your social channels as well. The next element is the M and the B. One of the charges Meredith tasked us with was, if someone just saw the logo mark with no text, would they understand it's from Myrtle Beach? And having a lowercase MB will help that go a long way. But the lowercase MB really gives that friendly, welcoming feel that I mentioned before. And you'll notice that the M and the B, they flow together and they share a descender. And that is kind of, providing this sense of, connection. And you'll see that break in that connector. And that is, kind of how the M and the B flow in together. It shows that sense of connection and flow, but that break really represents that work in progress of that transformation that's happening in the city of Myrtle Beach right now. And this M and B could, if you blow it up and have large scale elements of it, you could focus on those points, those breaks, those curves, which could really be nice in, letterhead and PowerPoint design and things like that. And then the last element of the logo is the type treatment, the city of Myrtle Beach. We used a very modern sans serif typeface. And then our design team modified a few letters to make it feel more custom and nuanced and friendly. The curvature of the M mimics the lowercase m, the extra little bulge in the bottom of the B, things like that, that make it feel official but friendly. And then, of course, we wanted to bold the words Myrtle Beach so they stand out. And that's the first thing that people read quickly in the logo. So with that, we wanted to show you just the mark without the text first. And this is how everything is put together. You'll see that the goal really does add that extra element of motion. And also the crashing of the waves in the sun within the B is also a nice nod to that motion as well. And we propose that these are our 5 primary colors in our color palette. 4 of these colors make up the logo, and then we have more of a complementary green to the rest of the colors. And we chose these colors not willy-nilly, but we looked at your Arts and Innovation District, we looked at Visit Myrtle Beach, we looked at your current colors, and we kind of wanted a palette that played well with all of those. And so this is what we're proposing as the primary logo all together, the mark with the text. And we always want to show it in just one color black and also reversed out in white, because that's the true testament of a good logo. If you can reproduce it in one color, then you've got a pretty good logo. And we feel like, when it is in one color, you can really get that more municipality feel. It feels a really official, and it looks great on all those dark backgrounds as well. Another measure that we put to any logo that we design is, does it look good on swag? Will people want to wear this? Will you guys want to wear this? And so, we always put it on a hat or something to make sure that it passes that test. And it looks pretty darn good on here. And then just wanted to finish up here quickly. We were very purposeful in choosing our colors, and we start with Pantone colors because that's the best way to establish consistent color across every medium, digital, print, if you're printing on a shirt, everything. And we will give you, once we decide on a final color palette, the breakdowns for all of those mediums and all of the different color systems that they have out there. And then lastly, we wanted to show you how the M and B looked in all those 5 primary colors. We really believe that the top 2 are, where it shines, and the bottom 3 would probably be used in limited capacity. But we love how the color palette plays all together. We really enjoyed going through this process with Meredith and her team, and we hope that you all have positive feedback, and we would love to hear any thoughts you might have.
Thanks, Adam. And something I will go ahead and say here, I know this is a big change. This is totally different than the seal that we've had since the 70s. So please just take it in and maybe let it simmer, and then feel free to get back with us on on any comments and things. And I do want to say, after presenting this to the internal city group yesterday, their biggest takeaway after it simmered for a while is how many opportunities there are with this logo because of the elements that are introduced outside of just the MB. We talk about art opportunities with the crescents and the sun and the seagull. And also something Officer Longshore talked about in the back was how he could see this with various sports tournaments. Sports tourism is such a huge thing in the city of Myrtle Beach, and how it transfers so well with all the different tournaments that we have here, whether it's the Beach Ball Classic or different branding at the Sports Center, everything that goes on at the Convention Center. It's not really hard to see, like you have some of those smaller designs in the seal, but something that can be used across the board for all kinds of different things, and the breakout elements that are presented in this logo that we'll have options to use now. So.
Thank you, Meredith. And just to reiterate, the seal stays.
The seal stays.
It is
yes.
still our official seal. Mm-hmm. This is more for branding and swag and things like that.
Banners, art opportunities, right. A lot of things,
Okay. We can either ask questions now, or as Meredith said, we can think about this, look it over, and come to her with questions and comments.
I'll take a few.
I'll leave that up to council.
I was just going to ask, can you show us some other examples other than the hats? I was just thinking like on the police officers' patches and the firemen's and.
Yes, and how, I'm not sure that the badges will necessarily change because they are still reflective of the city's seal, which is staying. Okay. And those are something, that are very close to the hearts of many firefighters and police officers and stay for a long period of time. Usually a logo might have a lifespan, 15 to 20 years. So I don't know that those will really change at this moment. And when we went into this project, that was something that that was known and accepted at that time.
I got you. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Meredith, would you, for departmental type of things, would you stack the department name in the same font underneath City of Myrtle Beach?
Yes, and I can actually send you a mock-up that I have of that. So how that would look is once we choose our primary logo, so let's say we went with the top right one that's navy, you would take away City of Myrtle Beach, and I think PRST is our longest department name. It would be parks and a little square bullet, recreation, a little square bullet, sports tourism.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
And then that's how it would be broken up per department.
I really like the fact that you all have thought this through and being able to use it to generate other things. Like you said, sports tourism. I mean, what a huge area that is, and what an opportunity we have to brand on, not just hats, but, towels, shirts, you name it. All of those things are there, and that's the kind of stuff people will take back with them. And so, congratulations. I think it's really great.
No, I appreciate that. And that, like I kind of said, I'll say it again, that's something that's really exciting about this logo. Not everyone wants a city seal on a hat, but that there's so many different opportunities with this and different ways that it can be manipulated and using the elements on their own that are fresh and new. And it is a change, so again, we can let it simmer some and come back and visit it. But it's exciting and it's reflective of where we're going, I believe, where you all are going.
Moving forward.
Yes, moving forward.
Is our current logo trademarked?
Yes,
It is.
And this will be too, once we get to that point.
yes.
And the reason why I'm bringing this up is there's a commercial that has our logo. It doesn't say City of Myrtle Beach or anything like that. There's no, but it has our
seal.
seal
Oh,
on it. Yeah.
please let us know. We
Yeah, I'm trying-
police that stuff.
It's one of the drug companies that's and it's our seal on a sign on the beach.
Okay.
But it looks like a California beach.
Okay.
So I'll try to figure it out, because every time I see the commercial, I'm kind of like, crap.
Yeah,
trying to write
yes, let us know. I work with Amy and Will on that, and we'll
Okay.
send them things so that they pull it. We had a Kroger that wasn't even in Myrtle Beach that put a huge city seal on their window walking in, and sometimes events will grab it too, and we try to watch that stuff.
Protect our intellectual property, please.
Absolutely. It's very important. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Meredith.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay, and next we have our Cultural Resources Committee, and welcome to those of you who are here with us today. And John Crutch is going to come give us an update.
He's switching sides. I just want to say shout out to the team too. That's a really cool logo, and I think that we haven't discussed it on the Cultural Resources Committee yet, but I look forward to seeing it, and I can't wait to sit on my front porch on Oak Street and see that pop of red on a public works truck going down Oak Street. So I'm excited. So thank you all for doing that and bringing that to our city. Good morning. My name is John Crutch. I'm the chairman of the Cultural Resource Committee for the City of Myrtle Beach, here to bring you a public art update. Coming off the heels of our most recent Ocean Forest Hotel Memorial update, we thought it best to come and give consider this our yearly update ongoing, a little past our January deadline, but we have some exciting things, so we needed to come to you and the public and show what we are doing on behalf of City Council. This is also our working plan. I want to first acknowledge our committee, who is here in the corner of the front. If you'll just raise your hands if you're on the committee or staff liaison. Thank you. Thank them for their service, please. They've spent a lot of hours working on this for the betterment of our city. Am I doing it wrong? YMCA.
Should be the middle button.
Was that me or you? That was you? All right, I'll try it and we'll work together. Okay, so the high-level stuff first. We have been working on the public art policy. That's hard for me to read. I did the wrong colors. So this is a redraft of the current art policy to guide our city into the next decades of welcoming art to Myrtle Beach. A few years back, City Council, you folks put a stipend in the budget specifically for public art, so we want to make sure that we are welcoming public art and making it very easy to navigate, not only for council and for code enforcement and for the zoning administrator, but for businesses, public art patrons, as well as public artists. So that work started in June, July of last year. It's been a very long road. A lot of hours outside of groups with a small working committee that met outside of regular meetings so that they could discuss, and build this. Several drafts and discussions later, in the spring of 2025, this year, the committee voted to move the advised policy to the next stages. So now it's in staff's hands, being reviewed, so we can have a couple back and forth before a full presentation to you all, so we can work toward the future of art in Myrtle Beach. We're gonna get there. So now the fun stuff. So first project that we've been working on, the Goddess of the Sea, which is truly that and the whale wall on the convention center are the two real crown jewels of public art in Myrtle Beach to date. So the Goddess of the Sea has had a few years where it's post-COVID, some things got out of whack and we missed some maintenance years. So when you're doing public art, especially sculptures, murals, as well as we know with the whale wall, they require maintenance. This is not something you just place and forget it. You have to protect that investment. This is a several $100,000 sculpture, and she requires constant care, being exposed to the elements 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So most recently, a multi-year contract was awarded to Heritage Sculpture Preservation. The owner, Jeff Hall, who's featured on the left there doing a sculpture preservation piece, is also a sculpture preservation at Brook Green Gardens. So she is going to be in fantastic hands. Throughout the presentation, you're going to notice that we've tried to humanize this presentation, and all the artists that have been involved so far are pictured throughout the presentation. Mr. Bo Bryan, who we are all well aware of and has done an amazing job as Poet Laureate this last year and a half or so, he has passionately poured himself into this role. So thank you all for appointing him on that. Some of his most recent, in the past year, appearances have been Poetry Month in April with the South Carolina Poet Laureate at the Art Museum. He's hosted poetry writing workshops, led poetry readings at several First Friday art walks. He has worked through a transition of a Poet Laureate liaison, which is a position we have on the committee. Adrian is one of our newest members of the committee who is not here today, but she works with him every month to bring us updates on what the Poet Laureate has been doing the last month and what he will be doing for the following month, and working with Meredith and Chastity so we can get that word out. And he's also worked with a small working group, including Chris, Tanya, and Adrian, and prior Betty Brookfield, to implement the City of Myrtle Beach's first ever city-sponsored poetry box. So shout out to Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce on that. Chris is our chamber partner. There is a website called myrtlebeachpoetry.com that you can see the submissions to the poetry box. We have two. One is living permanently in the library, and the other one will be a mobile unit we can take to events and on requests. So what this poetry box does is similar to a little free library. So if Mike wants to write a poem, he can write a poem or a song.
I would love to see that, actually.
Right. And he can submit that. And then by doing that, you're giving permission to post that on the website, should it be necessary and appropriate to do so. So we do have that vetting part, so we make sure they are friendly poems. They can be, you can stand up for something, they can be a little controversial, but they have to be appropriate for all audiences. So that goes in there. Okay, this is a really cool project. So everybody on council was around back when they did the 50 carousel horses auctioned on September 20th, 2003 to help with funds to renovate the historic Rivoli Theater. So Chuck and Diane Stokes, who are out of town this week, so they couldn't be here, reached out to the Downtown Alliance, and then between the Downtown Alliance, this is a three-way partnership between the city, the Downtown Alliance, and Chuck and Diane Stokes. It had fallen in some disrepair just from the elements being on 29th Avenue North all the time. So they offered to donate it to the city so that we could restore it. We want to acknowledge them and everyone involved in the project. And this is the rendering of how it did look and how it will look when it's completed. It is called Palmetto Pride. It is an ode not only to our great country, but also our great state. As you can see, the fading from the American flag in the back to the South Carolina state flag in the front. We have reached out to and voted on a proposed location, reached out to Heather Gray at Market Common, understanding that our committee is tasked with art citywide, not just in any particular area. So reaching out to Heather Gray, who's the manager of Market Common, she extremely graciously has said, this is a great place for the horse. We would love to have it here. On the next slide, we'll get to the proposed location in a moment. These are the two artists that the contract is being awarded to on this. This is Jessica Schweers of Barnacle Born Design and Heather Gilmer. Heather has done some area murals as well, including the one on Broadway Street on the MBDA building that she worked on with Tommy Simpson. So these two ladies, who are local artists, will be restoring it, which will culminate in a final live painting on September 5th at 5 p.m. at Kaleidoscope Gallery right next to City Hall. So please come out there. That's a First Friday Art Walk, so we wanted to make sure this had the publicity necessary to show the work that you folks make possible on City Council by funding public art in Myrtle Beach. This is the proposed location. Both the same section, prominent area of Howard Avenue. These were proposed by Market Commons. So they're invested in this project. We have a great partner, Market Commons Shopping Center, who wants to see public art there. We thought it'd be a good place with a lot of traffic, a safe location for a sculpture such as this. And it also happens to be near a seating area for outdoor dining, and it's also near a playground. So you're gonna get adults and children appreciating the history of this. And by doing this, we are able to not only hit public art, but in a sense, also hit some historic preservation, which we are also tasked with. Okay?
John, a quick question.
Yes, ma'am. Please stop me at any time, by the way.
Do you all know where any of the other carousel horses are? Because I know there is one in City Hall.
Yes, so there is the one in City Hall, which we are open to if council so desires to have us display that outdoors or somewhere else, we can, so we can get more exposure to the public. I believe there's one, we discussed there might be one at Caravel Resort that is still displayed on Ocean Boulevard. Any ones, the public listening to this broadcast, any other carousel horses that may be out there that maybe need a restoration or in need of a new home, we would like to discuss that with the public so we can bring more and show this off in various parts of the city.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
John, I know that will reach thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are watching this right now.
You know, I hear the YouTube. I'm gonna let you have that one. Okay, so this next one is really exciting. You know, we understand council's desire to really show off public art in the downtown area and the Arts and Innovation District to really make it show the arts part of the Arts and Innovation District. So this will be what can be known as the Pinnacle Arts and Innovation Mural. So this mural is just an example of the artist's work that we're going to talk about that we have approached and the committee has recommended to move forward on a mural with. This is to create a unified sense of the place where great things are set in motion, which is the Arts and Innovation District. The building and business owners, which we'll reveal in a moment, have shown a strong desire to have a mural in such a prominent location since about 2018. Been a long-time downtown business, one of the longest standing downtown, as well as art and innovation businesses, which creates a public-private partnership. The owner has publicly committed to funding a portion of the mural and some potential building modifications as well. We are trying to set a new precedent. It may not always work, but we're trying to set a new precedent on the committee and with staff to give priority to building owners who are willing to jump in with the city of Myrtle Beach and put up some of their money and put skin in the game saying, we believe in public art. It improves the value of their buildings, it improves the value of our community, and this building owner really showed that. So he's going to put up to 10%, so on this mural, approximately $2,500 to $3,000 of their own money, not counting the dollar value of building modifications such as awning refreshes or bricking in a doorway to make the mural bigger, etc. So house parts, which everyone is very familiar with, is really an art and innovation business when you think about it. Their house hardware they're selling there is truly art, everything from builder grade to Swarovski crystals, and innovative things for home building as well, right in the heart of downtown. 801 North Kings Highway, the owners are Andrew and Lacey Pelusin. This is just the main section of the building, as you'll see with the markups, is 55 feet long and 14 feet tall. This is gonna be a massive mural. This is facing the north, if you're driving south, no, that's wrong, north on 17 Business, that's where you see this mural at the 501 intersection. So a huge amount of traffic. It's safe to stand on the sidewalk there and stand across the alleyway to take photos, so there's a photo op opportunity. There's also a potential marketing and funding partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. They don't know that yet, but they will. And if we go into the next slide, the reason there's that big marketing opportunity for the city of Myrtle Beach with this is Bo Stanton. So Bo Stanton is a New York City-based international artist who has had work featured in over 25 cities across 16 countries. Past project partners include the World Trade Center, the U.S. Embassy to Italy, the Wynwood Walls, which are very famous murals in Miami, and others. His artwork has been featured on the Berlin Wall, Times Square, and countless galleries worldwide. Estimated cost of this entire mural is right at $25K, which for a muralist is extremely affordable. He's excited about the potential of this. I've talked with Bo Stanton personally. Not the first time I've talked to him because I became familiar with his work in Brooklyn in an area called Bushwick, and just an outstanding artist who can really make cohesive the parts of art and innovation. Okay, so this one's kind of exciting. This is Rabbit Man, who is the downtown folklore art hero. So with the proximity to the Wither Swash, the committee has recommended to place this sculpture on Broadway Street. So Dale Rogers has art featured in other areas of South Carolina, such as downtown Greenville. I found out about him through downtown Greenville's public art director, Tracy Ramser, with some conversations with her. Broadway Street has that organically funky boho look. It's historic, it's organic, it is a thriving part of downtown with small business owners from across the world. So when you go there, you can see this Corten steel sculpture. Corten steel is a naturally rusty looking, that's the rust look there. It does not rust further. It requires very little maintenance. Stands at 103 inches tall, so it will be, you'll see it. It's right under 9 feet tall. It includes a powder-coated cardinal for an elegant touch, as well as the stainless steel bow tie, a belt buckle, and staff cap. Slide. So these are the two, sorry, my yellow circles went away. Proposed locations. Do I have a laser pointer on this? Yes. So one is, you can't really see it, but in the grass patch, that's right at Gallery 320. These are both at 4th Avenue North and Broadway, pending which one. We have two locations there. The gallery is the first choice, across the street's the second. The goal with these was to create an anchor for Broadway Street so we can make sure we get folks that want to walk all the way down to the end. Just got word yesterday there's going to be a new bookstore opening on this end of Broadway Street too. So with that and the gallery opening, that end of Broadway Street is starting to actually pull people down there. Also going to be an ice cream shop opening down there. This will give people photo opportunities so that we can get exposure for you all to say, hey, Broadway Street's getting some attention paid to it as well because we're doing the work. Now this one, I think everyone here will be the most excited about in the whole presentation. So the Rivoli Theater Statue Project. Decades ago, 2 original statues were removed from the front facade of the historic Rivoli Theater. Since then, they've been carefully stored by the city in city facilities to preserve the integrity and protect them. Today, we're on the way to bringing them home. So in this slide, right here to the left, a lot of folks here will remember those statues that once stood there. Very eclectic type statues, really neat, abstract. Next slide. So this project is in process since summer of 2024. Contractor searches, collaboration with Ground Zero. We've met on site with them a few times to tell them about the project, committee collaboration and recommendations, a bid process to make sure we had the best price and the best quality. The contract has been awarded to a local contractor, Artwork Masonry, who has also done work for Brook Green Gardens in the past. I could not find a photo of Jason, so we just put the logo for the company on there. And next one, please. So this is the next steps. This Thursday, we'll be at the Community Appearance Board to pitch them on the project with these photos. So to the left, you'll see what the current project site looks like. There's bushes, it's nice, it's well cared for, but the right side is what it can look like. Again, this hits historic preservation too. Speaking of city logos, we thought we would help with some branding as well. You know, our staff liaison, Brian Schmidt, said something to me several months ago when we were talking to each other, and one of his things he likes to talk about is Disney magic. And Brian is a fearless leader from the staff that helps us every single month. He hears our debates, he hears our discussions, he jumps in when he can or has something to say. And when you throw in the City of Myrtle Beach seal to ChatGPT and say, create a Disney castle out of this, that's what comes up. So the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary is that little extra. And we on the committee think that public art can really make Myrtle Beach extraordinary. And lastly, just a thank you to all these folks here, and there's so many more. These are people we've had the privilege of working with for the past year and a half, and we just want to say thank you to all of them. Any questions for me? Comments?
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Exciting to see all of this happening, and thank you to the committee. I will say that since we put this committee in place, you all have worked very, very hard on public art, and this is proof that it's paying off, and it's exciting to see.
And our goal is to make these more regular as we have new projects coming up, whether that's monthly or quarterly, depending on the speed that staff and the committee can work together. We will update you all so you can know that the committee and staff are doing the hard work that you've tasked us with.
John, remind me, the financing for these projects, other than, I think it's a good idea, that, you know, if I have this big building and the mural's $30,000 and I kick in 300 and get the benefit of that, that's a heck of a deal. Remind me though, where's the funding for this project, all these projects coming from?
Absolutely. So starting in 2022, there or three, one of the two, there was a $100,000 per year line item in the budget that was done. Took some time for the committee to allow that to build up some so that more projects could happen on a faster basis. So that's where those are funded in part. So to protect the investment for the city, there's been one public-private agreement so far that's been done on the side of Beach Bike Shop, right on Broadway Street. So to protect the city's investment, there is an agreement that is done, call it a lease if you will. If I recall correctly, that one's for 10 years, which is about the lifespan of a mural typically without much maintenance, other than perhaps washing it or clearing vandalism, so that the city's investment is protected for the future, for that piece of it. And then the same thing with sculptures too. If it's on private property, we would come up with an agreement with the city attorney and council. And if not, then so far the sculptures have been on public property, such as the I Love You hand on 9th Avenue North.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. And anything, and I listen, and this is for the thousands of viewers on YouTube as well, Greg. Anybody from the public that is a private partnership that wants to donate, we do have the mechanisms in place in the city of Myrtle Beach that we can take donations. Goddess of the Sea recognizes dozens of community members that helped fund that particular art piece. So we do have the ability to recognize those people who do sponsor art pieces in Myrtle Beach, such as the Ocean Forest Hotel Memorial and other public art.
John, I already got a text from somebody that found one.
Cool. Good.
What is the timeline on some of these projects, like the Rabbit Man and the mural?
Fast. So where we are on these projects now, the carousel horse, as mentioned before, is anticipated. So that will be coming to you all next Tuesday for recommendation for accepting the donation from Chuck and Diane Stokes. As soon as that is done, we have the artists in place ready to roll. So September 5th will highlight that, and then shortly after that, we can have a placement ceremony. So I anticipate that to be done no later than early October for a public-facing ceremony. Rivoli, that contract has already been awarded because we already are in possession of those statues. So I would say that's early fall 2025. That's ready to go. The site work's there. We just have to have CAB approval. The mural with Bo Stanton, that is probably fall to early winter 2025. He's ready to roll, probably about a 2 to 3 month timeline before he gets here. Just have to finalize some things there. And Rabbit Man's about 14 weeks. That's made to order. So that's about a 14 to 15 week timeline for building. During that time, we can do the CAB part of it and have the site ready, which is just a simple concrete pad for that, and any landscaping CAB may want. So all of them are this year.
Has the committee talked about any opportunities for QR codes like Goddess of the Sea,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
so that people can donate?
Yes. So on the, we haven't talked about the donation side. That's a great idea, especially if we can work with city staff to get a website set up or build that through the MBDA and or the Chamber of Commerce for some cross-marketing there. We do want on every art piece to recognize the folks that are involved, similar to other city projects, because they are important projects, and anyone who is privately involved too. So for instance, the horse, Chuck and Diane Stokes are the donors of that. So we intend to have a metal plaque similar to what's at the World War II Memorial or at the I Love You statue, making sure the folks who are involved in the project are recognized for the future. And that's where a QR code can go to.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you folks so much.
Thank you. All right, next up, we're going to have Travis Gladke, our emergency manager, who is going to go through some emergency preparedness. And he will not say the H word in this presentation.
Well, good morning, everyone. So
morning.
today's presentation, I'd like to discuss with you the City of Myrtle Beach's overall hurricane readiness level. I'll talk about how we've been preparing for a hurricane, not just over the past year, but over multiple years, and then provide you some insight into our emergency response as well as disaster recovery capabilities. Just a refresher, June 1st is the kickoff to hurricane season, and this year Mother Nature did not waste much time. Tropical Storm Chantal made landfall about 70 miles north of Charleston on July 6th. It was a very weak tropical storm, wind speeds about 50 miles an hour. Other than us feeling some of that wind effect, some on and off again showers, we were not significantly impacted, but it is a little unusual for us to experience a hurricane or tropical storm so early in the season. The height of our season is coming up, September through October. Next up, I'm going to discuss how we define a storm as being a hurricane and why the information can sometimes be misleading and not tell us the whole story. So first off, the way that we define a storm as becoming a hurricane is based off one hazard or one factor, and that's wind speeds. Once a storm reaches wind speeds of a minimum of 74 miles an hour, it is now a Category 1 hurricane. As those wind speeds increase, so does the hurricane category itself, all the way up to a Category 5 hurricane, which would have wind speeds of over 157 miles an hour. My goal for today is to reinforce that by looking at this, we can't just judge how potentially damaging a hurricane can be based off which category the hurricane fits into, because again, we're only taking into account wind speeds. Example, since 2013, City of Myrtle Beach has experienced Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Florence, and Hurricane Ian, all of which were Category 1 hurricanes. Yet all three significantly impacted our community. Hurricane Florence especially, many say that that is the most damaging hurricane in the state of South Carolina's history when you take into account inflation. So how does a hurricane that's only, and I say only in quotes, a Category 1 become so damaging to our community? Because again, we're only basing off wind speeds, other hazards we need to consider. The first one, storm surge. Storm surge is actually the leading cause of hurricane-related loss of life. Very basic explanation, storm surge is additional water put on top of high tide. Hurricane winds push that water inland. An example, back in 2022 with Hurricane Ian, we experienced a 7-foot storm surge. So take 7 additional feet of water put on top of high tide. Hurricane Ian's winds push that water inland. Because Myrtle Beach is surrounded by multiple bodies of water, whether that's lakes, rivers, ponds, the intercoastal waterway, even once that initial storm surge, which has been pushed in miles inland, once it begins to start to recede, we're still going to feel those effects. Combine storm surge with another hazard that hurricanes bring to us, heavy rainfall, and you get overall flooding. The image that you see up there with all that purple data, that's what we reference to when we talk about potential flooding throughout all of Horry County. It is not just based off data and research, it's also based off real-world events. Travel back in time with me 2018 with Hurricane Florence. When Hurricane Florence originally made landfall in Wilmington, North Carolina, it was a Category 1 hurricane. What made it so damaging to Myrtle Beach and the rest of Horry County? First off, it was a very slow-moving storm. By the time it took a directional turn downward from Wilmington, it traveled south into South Carolina. At one point, right on top of Myrtle Beach, it was traveling at less than 1 mile an hour. The average hurricane travels 5 miles an hour, and we actually want that hurricane to travel faster for the impacts not to linger on top of us. Factor in the second key factor, heavy rainfall. Parts of North Carolina all the way to Laura, South Carolina, reported rain accumulation of more than 20 inches, and that's just during that initial Hurricane Florence impact. We're not accounting for the days before or the days after. Myrtle Beach itself experienced nearly 11 inches of rainfall during that time period. Third key factor, and we really didn't feel the true impact of Florence until a couple days later. All that flood water from North Carolina, all their rivers, lakes, and ponds that were already at catastrophic flood levels, that water had nowhere else to go but down. So that water traveled into South Carolina, and on top of the 11 inches of rainfall that we already had, our rivers, lakes, and ponds then also experienced near catastrophic flood levels. Question is, how do we prepare for these types of hazards, specifically storm surge and the combination of storm surge and heavy rainfall with overall flooding? First off, a couple years ago, we revised our hurricane evacuation zones. 3 main reasons. The first is if we're saying storm surge is the #1 leading cause of loss of life with a hurricane, shouldn't our evacuation zones reflect that? The previous Know Your Zone updates hadn't been updated since 2013. We all know that we have experienced a substantial population growth during that time period. Our evacuation maps need to reflect that. Third reason, while keeping life safety as our #1 priority, we just need to make the maps simpler for people to understand, easier for the general public as well as ourselves to understand which hurricane evacuation zone we're in and what that exactly means to us. Another way we are preparing over a multi-year process is the city's investment into our stormwater infrastructure. Right now, there's a couple really visible projects out there when we talk about stormwater infrastructure. That's usually not the case. There's a whole system underneath our feet with stormwater infrastructure that requires 365 days worth of maintenance and repairs. We have also, for nearly 14 years in a row, been designated by the National Weather Service as being a storm-ready community. That means that we have met all of the criteria set forth by the National Weather Service that says, yes, we are properly prepared for and capable of responding to a hurricane. And we are currently one of only 6 municipalities in the state to hold this designation. And yes, we are also tsunami ready by the National Weather Service. For the first time ever, the city of Myrtle Beach joined up with every town and municipality within Horry County, as well as local utility providers, the school district, and other community stakeholders to form the Horry County Flood Mitigation Task Force. We are one single team where we have created an all hazards mitigation plan that is available for public comment. It actually started on August 1st, all the way through the end of the month. You can review it to see how we are potentially vulnerable to flooding and other natural disaster effects, as well as some of our long-term strategies and solutions. The document is well over 300 pages, so it's going to take you a minute to get through it, but there's some really good information in there. Once you provide that community input, we'll take all that information, revise our plans as necessary, and then send that up to the state for approval. To piggyback off that, the City of Myrtle Beach also participates in the National Flood Insurance Program, specifically the Community Rating System. This is a point system where we try to gather as many points as possible in order to receive a class designation. Currently, the City of Myrtle Beach has a Class 5 designation, and to be honest, for a coastal community like ours, to hold a Class 5 designation is very impressive. It helps not only to make our city safer and more resilient, but it also offers our residents a 25% discount on their insurance premiums. You may have heard this term before, OPCON level, whether it's in the news, TV, movies. OPCON levels are a real thing. They stand for operational condition levels. What it's telling us internally as a city, as well as the rest of the general public, is this is how the City of Myrtle Beach is currently handling our government operations. We are currently in OPCON level 3. That's just our normal daily operations. We have not changed anything significant. Specifically to hurricanes, when we go to OPCON level 2, it means that a hurricane is likely to affect our city, so we will enhance our awareness as well as our preparation activities. When we go to OPCON level 1, that means we are at full alert with all emergency response capabilities activated. It's telling us internally as well as the public that not only is the hurricane impact going to be imminent, but it's also going to be severe impact. Some actions that we can take depending on which OPCON level we are at. We could adjust our city staffing with the primary focus being on public safety. We'll adjust our hours of operations for government facilities. We'll pre-stage equipment at designated locations, especially our heavy equipment, heavy machinery, and emergency response vehicles. We'll lower retention ponds in designated locations in the city that may be vulnerable to flooding. That way, those retention ponds can accept more of that flood water and will divert the previous water to other locations in the city that aren't as vulnerable to flooding. And we may make the determination to activate our Emergency Operations Center. Our Emergency Operations Center is located at Myrtle Beach Station number 4 in Market Common. We will activate the EOC 72 hours prior to the potential for hurricane landfall. Depending on the severity of that hurricane, we may request staffing from city departments, outside agencies such as the American Red Cross, specialized response teams, utility providers, and maybe even City Council. It also serves as our central communications hub with the National Weather Service, county, state, and federal agencies. To give you an idea of what our morning schedules look like during that 72-hour initial activation period, 7 a.m., we meet with the National Weather Service. They provide us the latest updates and information. 8 a.m., we meet with the State of South Carolina Emergency Management Division for their updates. At 10 a.m., we'll meet with Horry County Emergency Management, as well as all the other towns, municipalities, utility providers, hospital systems, and other community stakeholders, and we'll discuss what our current actions are taken, as well as what our future plans will be taken. And then at 11 a.m., we will have an internal City of Myrtle Beach meeting with all of leadership to discuss what our game plan is, what we're doing right now, and what our game plan is for the future. Not only does the City of Myrtle Beach have a designated emergency operations center, we are also the host to multiple specialized teams. The specialized teams that you see up on the screen are capable of being deployed anywhere throughout the state as well as the country if there's a major disaster. And guess what? Because we are the host agency, we get first dibs in the event that a hurricane were to make landfall with us. So we have a specialized search and rescue team, a planning and operations incident management team, a hazardous materials response team. The PD Healthcare Coalition provides mass care medical needs for our EMS systems, hospitals, nursing homes, dialysis centers. And then our ARES, our Amateur Radio Emergency Services team, can provide emergency communications to first responders out in the field. If cell towers, landlines, and internet were all to be damaged, we can still provide that emergency communications. I got to take a minute to give a shout out to our Public Works Department. When we talk about public safety, we often always talk about law enforcement, fire, EMS. Our Public Works team is a huge part of that public safety team. They're out there on the front lines, repairing and maintaining our roadways, storm debris collection, and coordinating with our emergency response, with our utility and water system providers. Just to give you an example how fortunate we are to have this Public Works team in our own backyard. Back in October of last year, when Hurricane Helene devastated the upstate of South Carolina, we got multiple requests for search and rescue teams. Anderson County requested assistance from our Public Works team. Basically, whatever you can send us, we will be grateful for. Our Public Works Department really stepped up. We sent staffing and equipment up to Anderson County. When they arrived, there was 35,000 people who had no power. In less than 5 days, our team was able to assist in restoring all that power, and they also cleared away 140 tons worth of debris. And we're not just talking about trees and sand, we're talking about entire neighborhoods and homes that were destroyed by Helene. All that had to be removed. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty regarding the Federal Emergency Management Agency, otherwise known as FEMA. We don't know if they are going through a restructuring process or if later down the line in the future, FEMA may no longer exist. The concern there is that FEMA doesn't just provide disaster recovery assistance, especially financially. They also provide public safety officials with a bunch of technology tools to help us predict how a storm is going to impact our community, as well as providing data feeds and mapping capabilities. How are we going to combat that if that FEMA assistance is no longer going to be available to us? The city is currently using the Esri GIS technology. Esri program provides us a disaster response program for all public safety officials. So we will still be able to track, forecast, and predict the potential impact from a hurricane to our area. But as well as when you talk about emergency response and disaster recovery capabilities, our search and rescue teams, our damage assessment teams, they will be able to use this program out in the field. And the great thing about it is it doesn't require internet access. So even if internet is down, we can still provide these data feeds and mapping capabilities on our cell phones, tablets, even without internet. There is a whole lot of information that comes out when there is a big event like a hurricane. A lot of the information is going to be very reliable. There's also going to be a lot of unreliable information out there. So wouldn't it be great for people of Myrtle Beach, as well as people who may be planning a vacation to come to Myrtle Beach, for them to see in real time and get reliable information regarding the status of Myrtle Beach? So bear with me as I try to explain. The storm information site is going to be dedicated to the specific storm itself. So let's take Hurricane Florence for an example. it would be the Hurricane Florence Storm Information Site. Because all the information is about Myrtle Beach, and there may be different policies and procedures for, reporting a local utility outage, all that information up there will be specific to the site. Once that storm has passed by us and we're in true recovery mode, that site or that link will now be taken down. That way we're not confusing not just the public, but our own staff with normal daily operations, code enforcement, planning, zoning, construction services. But you'll be able to find important contact information, what are the traffic and road conditions in Myrtle Beach? Where do I report damages to my property, whether it's a home or business, as well as any sort of disaster relief services that may be offered specifically to this storm. No matter which public education or public information event we attend, we always say stay informed. That's our motto. We provide the public with multiple ways to stay informed. Our MB Alerts mass notification system, which is free for the public to sign up for, we currently have more than 14,000 subscribers to it, who can receive phone, text, or email notifications about a hurricane in more than 60 different languages. We send out newsletters, both in English and Spanish right now. Fall edition is probably going to be a lot about hurricanes. September is also National Preparedness Month, so we will ask the community to provide us a survey and let us know where their strengths and weaknesses are so we can adjust our public education and public information efforts and direct that towards the proper location. And maybe all this technology just isn't for you for whatever reason. We can go old school. That's no problem. I got paper pamphlets, brochures. We will get you the information one way or another. Just reach out to us anytime. We will get you that information. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Any questions from council?
That was overwhelming.
Brother,
Absolutely overwhelming.
I hear you.
But thank you. And Meredith, just as much as your creative services people have been putting together, I think it'd be very useful if we could take this presentation and somehow condense it to the most important points, whatever they are. You make that decision. So we have not just written information, but film, something that people can watch, not just on the YouTube channel, but on they can click on our website, all of those things. This is a very powerful presentation. It is, like I said, I'm overwhelmed at the everything. Just pointing out public works. I'll guarantee you, the average person in the city of Myrtle Beach, and certainly all of our tourists, they don't even think about that, but how critical that is to the safety of them. So, just a suggestion, and leave it up to you, because that's outside of my pay scale. So,
yeah, absolutely. We do have not just an emergency management website on the city's website, but there is a whole section for hurricane, not just preparedness, but what to do after a storm. But like you said, that is kind of static information. So yeah, by providing some more, I guess, live information or more insightful stuff, absolutely.
I'll say that's actually on our agenda today for videos that are coming up to do as we're getting to closer to, I'd say, the height of hurricane season. We have a few that we've done in the past, but not to the caliber that I'd like for us to do. We did do one in partnership with you guys last year, and Dana, specifically geared towards kids. It's been shown throughout Horry County schools, and Dana said that was a hit. Patrick spent a ton of time on it, and I can send it to you, but we'll be working on some new things for this year for sure.
That was my question, is how we're coordinating with our city schools, So I know with Horry County's part of the emergency management team schools, but
I had the pleasure of being principal for a day over at Myrtle Beach Primary, and really opened my eyes. The amount of English as a second language students and how they serve as the liaison to their family members to pass on this information really opened my eyes. So after discussing with the principal and her staff, we did, it was about a month long, where we went to all the classrooms in the Myrtle Beach schools at the elementary age, and we did presentations with them. It wasn't just coloring books and stuff, but yeah, we did presentations that were much more geared kid-friendly. And then we received a lot of feedback from the teachers as to how to get that information from the students to the family if English is a second language.
How do we let our residents know about the discount on homeowners insurance? Is there a way that we can send that out with the water bills possibly, or? I bet you that very few people realize that they could get a 25% discount.
That might be an Emily Hardy. Yeah, we'll get with Emily Hardy and Construction Services and make sure that we can find a way to get the right information out there.
You know, one minor way that you can do it is the neighborhood watch meetings.
Well, if we had that many people come, that would be great.
It is, but I think what you will find is that the people that do come, they tend to go back to the community and spread the word, especially if you've got a 25% discount. So, yeah, some of the meetings are small, but I think it's a good way to spread the information. And, you know, Officer James can just do that, you know, or we can have, Travis can't be everywhere all the time, but
We'll find a way, yeah.
No, we've talked about the Pelican tags as a very inexpensive way to get the message out to everyone. We send out water bills. I think there's a way to get this out to the masses. And it's important. 25% is a lot.
I don't think the discount is something that you have to apply for. I think it's something you get because the insurance companies know our ratings and they look at where you live and automatically factor that into your rate.
I believe you're correct, yeah.
you hope they do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis. This was a great presentation. Very good.
Thanks,
Thank
Travis.
you. Okay, we do have, that's everything on our agenda for today. We do have one executive session item. So I will ask for a motion to go into executive session to receive legal advice concerning litigation involving the Seascape properties. We will invite Fox Simons, Will Bryan, Brian Tucker, Josh Bruger, Michelle Schumpert, Marla Bell, Meredith Denary, and Amy New Schaefer. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Motion from Mr. Louder, second from Mrs. Hatley. Any discussion from council? Any discussion from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hold that
All
in
those
here.
opposed? Motion approved. We will meet in here. The bananas were almost frozen this morning. Ready? Okay, is there a motion to come out of executive session?
Second.
Motion from Mr. Louder, second from Dr. Connor. Any discussion from council? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We will see everyone on Tuesday for our city council meeting.
Okay, sports fans.